Welcome to another episode of the Leo Canaan Podcast with myself, Amir, Frank, and Amanda. Today we're going to talk about the shooting that happened in Springfield, Illinois, or Sangamon County, with Sonya Massey. This is another tragic event that should not have happened. If you haven't seen the video, we're going to put it in the description. I'm sure pretty much the whole world has seen the video at this point. Amanda, give us some background on this event.
Sonya Massey was 36 years old, and she called the police to come and check her house for an intruder. She thought someone was coming from the outside. So 2 deputies showed up, checked the outside, didn't find anything. They knocked on her door. It took her a few minutes to answer, and they let her know they didn't find anyone outside. They came inside to make sure she was okay. We're trying to get her ID'd, make sure they knew who they were talking to. And they asked her to turn the fire off on a pot of boiling water on the stove. And so she went over, was moving the pot of water to the sink, and made a comment to the deputies, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And the deputy, Sean Grayson, really reacted very strongly and said, you better fucking not. I will shoot you in the fucking face. And she apologized, started pulling the pot of water up over her face, and then brought it back down very slightly, and he shot her in the face. That was it. They were also like 10 feet apart at least, so there's no way she could have thrown the water on him, let alone that she was not a large or strong woman. She's tiny. And he literally just flew off the handle off of nothing.
Yeah.
There's also, dispatch heard shots fired and was asking what happened, who was shot, who had a gun. Sean Grayson answered very shortly and indistinctly. The software that the dispatch has couldn't pick up what he said, so dispatch had no idea what happened at 1:15. As of 5 a.m., dispatch was still unclear what happened. Also, when her father was called to the scene, he was led to believe it was either a neighbor or an intruder that had done the shooting. He had no idea it was actually the deputy. There were even some rumors that it had been a suicide. He found out that it was the deputy involved shooting online. His brother found out online and told him. So that kind of looks like a cover up, and it just makes it real murky. It's already a really terrible, tragic situation. And then looking like a cover up is just, it's not good. It destroys any trust that they are trying to do, a real investigation. Thank God, they had a body cam on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I want to get into the discussion with you about this, Frank, because you saw the video, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, when he came to the door, you could tell his tone was off. And, we're always having this conversation in the country about there being systemic issues in terms of race relationships. And so the first thing I want to say is just police are absolutely needed, and there are many, many good police officers out here in this country. There are many, many good first responders in every field, and this should not be an indictment to any of those guys that step out and risk their lives to do a good job and to keep America safe. But how are we going to move forward as a country when the issue of systemic racism keeps bubbling up in instances like this? When you're never going to get rid of a racial attitude. Everybody's going to have their prejudices. But when you have a system in place that supports this kind of thing, that's why it keeps happening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, I mean, how do you see this? What was your reaction when you first saw this incident, man?
Man, the first thing I thought, like, this was a racist thought because he just seemed so unbothered by it. Like, I don't know if you guys seen the body cam footage, but I saw that he was saying, yeah, she had boiling water. I was going to shoot the bitch in the face. That's how he said it. And it just broke my heart because imagine being a family member, daughter, son of, Sonya Massey, and you seeing that video, he just so uncaring about it. Like, she was going to throw some water on me, so I shot the bitch in the face. Like, it was so uncaring, and it pissed me off, and it just shows that, systemic racism hasn't gotten anywhere. Because as a police officer, I feel like your gun should be a last option unless you see someone pointing a gun at you. Like, I don't find that a threat of a woman being so small and just a boiling pot of water made you feel like you have to pull your gun out. You have tasers, mace, batons, and it was also, two or three of them?
It was two of them in there.
And you tell me that you had to shoot her? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. That's why I really think that was a act of racism, and it's nothing they can do to change my mind about that.
Yeah, I think, it's so many people step forward to condemn this act.
Mm-hmm.
The president, the governor of Illinois. The problem I have with it, man, is during an election time,
mm-hmm.
Trump's silence is deafening.
Yeah.
I think it's just unbecoming, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That he's not saying anything or making a statement in regards to this, because it would be a huge opportunity for him to address a lot of these, racial issues, whether or not he's a racist. And,
mm-hmm.
Now his nephew is coming out with a book talking about that, his uncle's made a lot of racist statements in
mm-hmm.
private, and that could be a lot of family, we don't know. But this is like a missed opportunity for Trump.
Yeah.
It's a time for him to step up and
mm-hmm.
clear the air, from what happened 20 years ago or 30 years ago with the Central Park Five, whether or not he was racist.
Mm-hmm.
He has the opportunity to step up and condemn an act like this.
Yeah.
The governor of Illinois has condemned it.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
I think it's really murky water for Trump because of who his base is, where he gets most of his support. Not that I absolutely do not agree with it. But I feel like Trump feels like his hands are tied, or at least his advisors feel like his hands are tied on him saying anything, because it'll alienate all the people he had charging the Capitol on the 6th.
Well, let's say allegedly. Let's still say allegedly. Let's keep that. Let's
allegedly.
be unbiased with it, and let's say let's say allegedly.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, this gives him the opportunity to step forward, regardless of what may be or may not be on the minds of his constituency. Mm-hmm. Obviously, he may have members of his base that are racist. That doesn't necessarily mean you can hold him accountable because somebody that's in voting for him or looks up to him is a racist. You can't hold him accountable for that. This would be the opportunity for him to say something. Those, elements of his base that would be extreme. This is the opportunity for him to step up and bring peace to the country. You see what I mean? That's what leadership is about.
Well, yeah, but I don't think Trump is interested in peace or leadership. And it's interesting, too, like the Illinois senators, Tammy Duckworth and Dick Durbin, have made statements about this. They're both Democrats. Almost every Democrat on a national level has said something. There are no GOP members that I've been able to find that have made any kind of comment on this.
I'm not necessarily a Democrat fan either, though. So their reasons for saying something could be as, orchestrated as his reasons for not saying something. You see what I mean?
Well, absolutely. I mean, Democrats are usually, defined by social issues. That's usually where they're kind of corralled into. They support social issues and social things, and this would fall under that category. This is a great chance for Kamala Harris, who, since she's a candidate now, she co-authored the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act, which is trying to hold police more accountable for instances such as this. And that they tried to pass in 2021, and it got deadlocked because of party politics.
But what did Kamala, has she said anything about this?
Yes, she has. She made a statement and then also mentioned this act, that this is why we need this act. This is why we need to bring it back up and get it passed.
What are you thinking, man?
I'm on the fence here because, I agree that we need an act to, be able to punish police who does things such as this. But I want to read more into the act because I'm not going to lie. It's been times where, well, I'm not going to say it's been times, but for example, what if we come across an issue where someone else is in the wrong and it's a good police, and they try to, harm the officer and the officer, gets the upper hand. Are we going to punish that police? I'm playing devil's advocate with it. Like, say, for example, this is an example, listeners. Say, for example, Sonya Massey was someone who, did something to harm the police and the police acted fast on it. Will the police, be fully charged for that? Like, you get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. No, that's a good point. I know what you're saying. Just trying to look at the whole thing objectively. And that's the point. That's what the people in political positions are supposed to be doing, looking at this thing objectively. That's why I think it's just a wasted opportunity that Trump isn't speaking up. He's not saying anything. You know what I'm saying? He's a capitalist and a lot less of a politician. I get that. And if I had to deal with anybody, I would prefer to deal with a capitalist than a politician anyway. Yeah. But at the same time, our country is in a very pivotal moment in history. And it's a time, everything that's happening is relating back to something else. Like this happening right now relating back to Kamala Harris's bill. Yeah. This act of violence against this young woman, mother of two, happening right after Trump's attempted assassination act. All these different things happening, and we're on the world stage. At the same time, we've got Netanyahu in Washington D.C., talking about the concerns of Israel, and it's just a whole lot playing out. But when you're a leader on that stage, you have to be able to keep all those balls in the air. You see what I mean? Yeah. So Trump is missing an opportunity. There's things that we're all going to like about Trump. There's things we're going to dislike about him. There's things we're going to like about Kamala. There's things we're going to dislike about her. But at the end of the day, they're all politicians. They're all playing this political game. And we got another girl on the ground, an innocent girl. And if you look into it, there was a lot of cultural differences in there. So if there's two black police officers that come in that house in the middle of the night like that, and she said, "I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," something that most Christian black families may have heard before, because when she went and got the pot of water, it sounded to me in her voice like she had gotten so comfortable that she was joking with them. It sounded like she had a tone of she was just comfortable. It sounded like she was playing with them. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And he immediately took that to a different level. Yeah. I'm like, and she freaked out and started saying, I'm sorry. And he just blasted off. Man. I'm like, what happened? What just happened? You know what I mean?
I was hearing that she was schizophrenic. Was that? I don't know how true that was.
Yeah, I heard something about that too, that there was some mental concerns with her. I mean, she may be, schizophrenic or something. And he asked her, how was she mentally at the beginning of the video. So he may have had some familiarity with her, or had come across her previously, or been aware that there was a mental concern there.
Well, I think they could see she seemed like she was a little bit confused when she answered the door, even though she made the call. And then trying to get her ID, she was a little scattered. But he asked how she was mentally, but I take issue with like the tone how he asked. I felt like his tone was really condescending and kind of disgusted.
Mm-hmm.
And even he asked the radio to see if there had been, whatever the code is for mental issues. But he just seemed like he was just already at that point irritated and done and like just extremely judgmental about it.
Where do we sit in the world with these kind of police killings?
We in the world, we are number 6 with most citizens shot, killed by police officers.
Sheesh, number 6.
Number 6, and we are the only developed country in the top 10.
Wow.
Ahead of us is Philippines, Brazil, Venezuela, India, Syria, and then it's us. We're ahead of Afghanistan and Pakistan.
That's
and
crazy.
police killing citizens?
Yes.
So we rate higher. United States rates higher than Afghanistan and Pakistan.
Yeah, and that's for 2024 so far. That's not even the end of the year. And I will say, too, Syria's in a civil war. So.
And what number is Syria?
They're number 5. They're just ahead of us.
They're just ahead of us, and they're in a civil war.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's an interesting statistic.
But craziest thing is I kind of wonder how a lot of people are going to respond to this, because I don't know if you guys seen a video a couple months back ago where a policeman, I think it happened in Michigan, a police had killed a guy's son. And then I think the policeman's daughter went to prom or something, and then the guy killed the policeman's daughter. I forget the name. And then he was saying an eye for an eye. So he kind of got his, I want to say, quote unquote, get back. Like he came back and killed the policeman's daughter. But the very famous quote was he was saying an eye for an eye. I got to remember the guy's name, though.
The guy, so let me see if I get you right.
Mm-hmm.
The policeman killed someone's daughter.
No, he killed someone's son.
So the police officer killed someone's son, and then someone killed his daughter.
No, the son of the father of the son, that the father of the guy that killed the police son, his father killed the policeman's daughter. So he said an eye for eye. So like he killed his daughter because the policeman killed his son.
Wow. So, I mean, by certain metrics, if you apply all the metrics here, we're already in a civil war.
We are.
If you just look from a top-down perspective, political perspective, what's happening on the highest level of politics in this country, and then how that's trickling down to the middle, and then if you look at the very bottom of the country and how things are bubbling up, it seems like if you take those metrics, we are already in civil war.
Yeah.
It's just not full-blown. It may not be full-blown civil war, reaching every, corner of the country, but it just seems like civil war is already here.
According to Forbes, this was a fake story.
The eye for an eye guy?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It was trending for a while.
Yeah, it said it was really big on TikTok. It was Livonia, Michigan.
Yeah.
And said the police department told Forbes this is a fake story. Yeah.
Well, I should do some more research on it, but it was trending for a while, and I thought it was true.
Yeah, it looks serious. Like,
I mean, it still could be true if the police are just that the police are saying that it was a fake story, and it could very well be a fake story. But the fact that was trending like that as a fake story, that's probably a more telltale sign of the danger that we're in than if it had been actually a real story. Yeah. The fact that someone is making something up to that large degree as a fake story, what is the provocation behind that? Because why would you incite something of that nature? You see what I mean? So as a fake story, I think it's potentially more dangerous. It's like a few years ago. You remember a few years ago, Kim Kardashian was getting out of a limo or something, and some weirdo runs up behind her and he sniffs her ass.
Oh yeah.
You remember that? Now, there's a couple possibilities it could have happened. The whole thing could have been staged, or it could have been somebody that was really that weird and desperate that ran up to sniff this woman's ass like that. Now, if the whole thing was staged, because it had a reverberation, because remember, this started just right around the time this story trended. That's when these girls started getting all these fake butts. And, it's just been an epidemic of all these fake butts now.
Yeah.
And so that situation, the Kardashian situation, starting from her sex tape with Ray J all the way up to the incident where the guy sniffs her butt and where society is just being drenched in all this over sexualization.
Yeah.
Like we've just gone off the edge with this stuff. You know what I mean? Had that been staged, seems like it would be far worse than if it really happened. Because when people were staging this, like, even if this was a fake story, like, that, to me, that just seems like it's far more dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, it's trying to, put a match in some tinder, it's trying, it's like a pile of dry hay and just throwing a match on it. Like, everything's tense anyway, and it's just trying to,
like stir that pot.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, that's actually crazy. That's a fake story, because I thought 100% that's true. I started doing some research on it myself.
Yeah, it said the high school doesn't exist. That they named in it. The school, Livonia School District, doesn't have a Livonia High School. And I guess it all started with like a traffic stop.
Yeah.
And the police department said that there was
no traffic stop. Okay, so
there's a few things in it that are just entirely false.
Wow.
They ran some, this guy, what was the guy's name that he shot Sonya in the face like that?
Sean Grayson. Yes.
It just seems like this guy shouldn't have been on the police force at all.
Man.
No, he was discharged from the Army with some serious misconduct after just 2 years.
So, and it's not public yet.
It's not public why he was discharged. He was discharged in 2016, and then he also has 2 DUIs, like one in 2015 and one in 2016.
It just, to me, it's just uncanny that he was on the police force.
Man.
It was, what was that statistic you were giving us earlier about police higher education being a requirement, at least an undergraduate degree?
Oh, I was looking to see what countries require higher education to be on their police force, and I didn't find the exact stat, but I did find that as far as the police force, the required training, we are significantly less than many other countries. Our required training on average is 652 hours. The most is Portugal, where they require 10,400. Azerbaijan, same. Dubai, 5,400 hours. Finland, 5,400. India, 54. Vietnam, 5,400. Netherlands, 4,050. Same with Germany. Australia, 3,500 hours. England, 2,250. The closest is Canada, and they still require over 1,000 hours.
And how much do we require?
652, she said?
Yeah, 652.
652 hours of training. And that's it.
That's it.
That's crazy. I mean, and most of these countries require you more training hours than it takes to be a pilot.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, and, we don't even all you need is a high school degree. Like, there's some really shitty high schools in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, how many hours do you need for your pilot's license? What was it? 2,700,
FAA requires 1,500.
1,500 hours to get your pilot's license.
Yes, sorry.
I think I just read or I just saw a video where they were saying the partner, the guy, they didn't release his name yet, but he did not fire off a weapon, and he was actually going to go get a med kit, and the other cop, Gracie, told him don't get the med kit, but they just relieved him of duty. He didn't get fired, but he's on discharge.
Yeah, I saw that video too. That's so messed up, man, because he just like, I don't know, it just like, it rubbed me wrong how uncaring he was about it. He was like, no need for to make it, you know? Like, he just really didn't care. And when I see stuff like that, I try to imagine myself like, what is it that was my family member, and, you know, you're just watching this online and somebody just take their life for no reason, and he's just so nonchalant about it.
Yeah, that's gonna be a hell of a civil suit settlement in this case. It's gonna have to be,
because that, you know, prayers for that family, because that was something that, you know, that was terrible to watch.
Yeah,
it's terrible to watch. And like you were saying, the other guy, like, usually you have two cops, so there's two, and, you know, if one cop gets heated, like, the other should be trying to de-escalate, but there wasn't even a chance for that. It went from 0 to 100 in like a snap.
Yeah, the other cop, I can't see, you know, what he could have done to intervene. The first cop, Grayson, pulled out his pistol, and no sooner he had his pistol out, he was firing. You know, there was no lag time really between him pulling out his pistol and telling her he was going to shoot her in her fucking face, and her saying she was sorry, and she ducked down, and he's almost like he stepped around the counter, like he stepped closer to her to shoot her. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the other cop, he never fired his weapon. He never discharged his weapon.
Like, I wonder if that's part of a police training, like working with your partner and knowing when and when not to pull out your weapon, because that's definitely a situation where your gun should be the last resort. Like, it shouldn't even been a resort at all. Like I said, you have batons, you have mace, you have tasers, and then you have somebody else to help you out. Like, why did he feel so strong-minded that he needed to pull out his gun? That's just my concern. That's why it's nothing. Nobody can tell me that was an act of racism.
Yeah, there was that. The first cop, him pulling out his gun, that really escapes me. The second cop, in a situation like that, if your partner pulls out his gun, regardless of what's going on, you gonna pull your gun out, because your reflex is going to tell you he may have seen something that you didn't see. You know what I mean? Because you can't see everything from his perspective. You can only see it from your perspective.
Yeah.
So you, as a reflex, it's almost like if a mosquito bites you, you can't stop your hand from swatting your arm. You know what I mean? Your partner pulls out his gun, and you guys work together. Y'all in the squad car together. Y'all on calls together.
Yeah.
So there's a certain degree of trust from that relationship perspective. So if as soon as he pulls his gun out, as a reflex, yours is coming out too. The thing is, he did have the state of mind to not discharge his weapon. Because if your partner is firing his weapon off, that same reflex may kick in and you fire your weapon at least once, because your partner fired his, and you're at that point, you're trusting in your partner's perspective. And that's why during an internal investigation, they're going to, you know, who's fired the first shot, questions like that come out, because, you know, second officer, that's going to be a reflex response. You know what I mean? But he did not fire his weapon. So, which is a good thing. You know what I mean? Because now what it does is it completely isolates this guy's behavior, along with his record and everything else that's going along with him. The second cop did not discharge his weapon. I'm still curious to know why they why he had to go get discharged from duty like that. And it could be a case of, mental recovery or something. He may need to sit down and talk to a shrink.
No.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's off duty completely unrelated to any type of culpability in that situation, but the fact that he needs to talk to a shrink, that his partner just launched off like that. You know what I mean? So let's just assume that the cop that fired the shot is the bad seed, and give that partner the benefit of the doubt, and say that he is not that kind of guy. He would not have done that, or he did not condone what his partner did. He is a first responder. He's a cop. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's at home because he needs to talk to a fucking shrink now. Yeah. And we have this cop, which is, right where he should be. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a dark time in this country, and I just reverberate that Donald Trump should be saying something. I would like to see him say something to speak up, because it's a huge stage. He's got a huge mic in front of him, and there is a lot of racial tension in this country, and he has the opportunity to step up to the plate and say, listen, we don't condone that. I support law enforcement. I support the risks that they take and the sacrifices that they make every time they leave home and leave their children behind, and the sacrifices that they have to make out in these streets. But we don't condone this.
Yeah.
This is not what we mean when we say we support law enforcement. When we support our first responders, this is not what the fuck we're talking about. This kind of behavior must stop. And this is a chance for Trump to say that, and he's not saying it.